Welcome back to our podcast. We are the Babbling Sisters. I'm Nellie.
And I'm Steph.
We are riskless, as you can tell.
Yep.
I feel like it's been a while since I've actually been here with you.
Yeah.
You miss me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. You know, life happened, and then I got sick, and then you and Risk kicked me off the podcast so I could rest, and I'm back, bitch.
Finally.
Hi.
Now I just need to get Riss back. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
I know, but I think everyone missed me because I missed them.
Of course,
I was watching reruns of our episodes. So sad. Let me not bang on my desk because my camera just went. Meh.
Yeah, it did a little twitchy thing. But yeah, cheers. I got my water.
So today we're talking about moving on.
Yep.
That's a big one. We're gonna talk about moving on and starting over in the same sense because it's pretty much coincide with each other.
Yeah.
In many ways. And what does moving on mean? Moving on from things that no longer serve you, whether that be relationships, friendships, situationships,
Yep.
Jobs,
Absolutely.
housing, family.
Yep. Anything.
Okay. Everything under the sun and moon.
What was that?
Much for me to do, guys. My hands can't go all these ways. I'm not that talented. My wrist hurts. I'm over here trying to make it work.
All right.
The moon.
Pointed to your ring. All right.
Should have just did that shit to begin with. Anyway. I honestly feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm speaking from personal experience. There's a sense of fear to moving on.
Yeah, of course.
And what does that mean? What does it look like? Does it mean that you're turning your back on everything? Does it mean that you're starting over from nothing?
I guess it all depends.
Right. Does it mean that you can never go back to what once was? Right? So for me, I tended to stay in situations, many different ones, situationships,
Yep.
Relationships, family,
Job.
relations, my job for 14
Yep.
years, because I had a fear of leaving the known. So as bad as the bad was, or as unfulfilling as a situation was, it was still a fear of leaving that because I knew the bad.
Yeah.
And starting over with something brand new was so much more scary to me than staying in that bad place.
Yeah. Well, change is scary. All humans have some variation of anything that changes the norm for you in the day-to-day or whatever. Whether that be getting rid of your job or a person in your life that is no good for you and whatever. It's hard. You know what you have. You know what I mean? Like, it's the devil you know rather than the one you don't type kind of situation.
Right. So, how do you know when it's time for you to move on
Uh,
personally. I
uh,
mean, it's different for everyone.
it's different for everyone. Yeah. I mean, for me, in like thinking of one specific situation where I cut off family. But for me, it was a constant dread of having any contact and having to make a phone call or having to return a phone call or answer a phone call or any, like, it was like complete and utter dread. Like, I would stare at that phone ringing and it'd be like, I cannot do this. Like, I can't answer this. And then I couldn't listen to the voicemail for a while. And I was like, why am I continuing to go through this every single time I get a phone call from this person? Like, why? And it just got to the point of like, this can't work like this anymore. Like, I can't be so uncomfortable that a phone call is going to set me off, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where, like, you just feel like that relationship isn't working or isn't good for you or brings you anxiety or whatever, you know?
Right.
At least for in that
Right.
situation. Like, everyone is, like, obviously, like, in relationships, like, sexual relationships or intimate relationships and things of that nature, there's different signs and different things that you can see. Family members, it's a little harder because they're your family and you're supposed to stick it out no matter what. And no matter what kind of toxic relationship it is, you're supposed to stand by your
That's
family.
very true. And I've cut off a lot.
It's not
I feel
easy.
like, no. I honestly, to start with, like I said, I mean, I stayed in situations far too long. I held on to too many people past that expiration dates far too long. And what I really had to sit down and say, and yes, I said expiration dates, we all need to understand every person has a season, a reason, and an expiration date. So we tend to allow short term people to stay long term. And that's when you come into the problems and the toxicity and the negativity
Yep.
and the absolute draining of all of your energy, your soul, your happiness,
Yep.
because you allow that person to stay much longer than they should have. Um, and that goes for family.
That's
Just
true.
because you were born into a situation doesn't mean that you need to stay
Right.
in that situation if it's not good for you. And far too often, there's all this guilt of, well, family's family and your parents are your parents and they're all you got. Like, I'm all I got.
Right.
My sanity is all I got.
Yep.
My
Facts.
my mental health
Facts.
is all I got. So when is it enough? When am I enough to set those boundaries to say, hey, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, you're not good for me.
Right.
And not have that guilt of cutting that person off.
I think you
So,
might have the guilt no matter what. I mean, I think that just comes with it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know I felt guilty. I don't feel guilty about it now, but I know I felt guilty about it for a long time. Um,
well, I mean, speaking about the family member, because we've gone back and forth. we have we've had a roller coaster where you would be talking to this person and let's just
yeah,
cat out the bag, our mother.
yeah. We've
You would be
mentioned it
talking to
before,
her.
yeah.
Yeah, you would be talking to her and I wouldn't,
Right.
and then vice versa. um I really tried to be the bigger person, all the trauma and drama aside, especially after having Sky,
Yep.
because for me that was a huge ordeal. And I wanted everyone to be able to partake in her life because it was such a gifted and blessed life in my eyes that I felt like whoever wanted to be a part of it should be, and that I
Yeah.
shouldn't limit that.
Right.
But what I've grown to learn is I need to limit that to protect her, to protect me.
Yep.
Um, and Donna doesn't know that I'm living here unless someone has told her.
But even then, she
Um,
hasn't reached out to say anything to you about it.
Correct.
Right.
And it's been 3 months. I haven't talked to her maybe April, I want to say. Um, my ultimate road stop and oh fuck knows. Um, well, because I was giving her the gift of being in one of her grandchild's lives because she's proclaiming to the world that that's all she wants and
Correct.
all she's ever tried
Yep.
to do. Um, we know the truth, and we don't need to get into every single detail, but
Yep.
um, I extended the olive
You did.
branch, and she didn't reach out for her birthday this year. And for me, that's a huge thing. For any one of Sky's birthdays, it's a huge celebration,
Yeah.
but also a huge trauma for me.
Yeah.
And trying to find the balance between the two. And I'm learning, I did have, like we talked about, I had a lot of anxiety, and I had to realize, like, whoa, I'm triggering back to those moments because there's been so many changes, and I had to really stop myself and say, yo, Nelly, check yourself and check your mentals, because now you're freaking out that she's in her bed
Right.
sleeping and she's not breathing. Your brain is telling you this because 4 years ago,
Right.
that was your fear. It's not reality. And I had to, check myself and realign myself and make sure that I was understanding that. And, I had two situations where I was like, whoo, freak out, jump up, and gather myself. But for me, if someone doesn't acknowledge her birthday after all that she's been through and your family, oh, but you dead. You're dead to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry because, I mean, one, I don't play with my baby.
Right.
I don't play with any of my
That was
babies.
that
Okay,
was my ultimate point as well. Once she started
I got
bringing my
many.
kids into it, I was done.
Yeah,
That was it.
I got many of babies, and that was one of my breaking points with the kids with her, um, and why I didn't talk to her for quite some time, and then again, open that up like a dumbass. And sometimes I wonder why I continue, right? Like
It's the
why
guilt.
when I move on, why can't I
It's the guilt.
continue with a fresh start?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's where it comes into play, where we say move on, fresh start. Because
Yep.
yeah, you can move on, but if you're not starting with a fresh start, you're gonna keep sliding backwards.
Yep.
There's always gonna be the slide backwards. But if you are not truly moving on with the intent of starting fresh
Right.
and getting that shit out,
Now that's not saying
you're
that
gonna
we could never
keep
have
learning the
a
lesson.
relationship again. Like if she were to change and to actually make strides to show me that she was making an effort to have a relationship, and I wouldn't be closed off to that. Like it wouldn't be something that I'd be like absolutely not. Like I could possibly give it another shot if she were really to show some effort. But it's got to change. It's got to be a different type of relationship. It can't go back to what it was. You know what I mean? You have to have that fresh new thing. It can't be the same old thing. It
Right.
can't.
I feel like some people aren't able to move on in that
I'm
sense.
not saying that
And speaking of her,
yeah. I'm not
you know what I
saying
mean?
that I'm holding my breath. I'm not.
Right. We know. But I honestly, like, and that's where I have to sit back and think. I've been having a lot of deep conversations lately, um, with a special someone, but
To be talked
I've
about
had to
later.
really sit back and think. Shut your face. I had to sit back and think a lot of how I see things and how I interpret things and how others interpret it. Because just because I understand something one way and I may understand it that way, other people hear the same thing and understand it different ways. And not everyone moves this wise person told me, and very correct, not everyone moves at the same pace in a situation, whether it be friendship, relationship. You're moving along in the same direction, but you're not going to line up on everything all the time.
Right.
So just because me and you are moving forward from the situation doesn't mean that we're on the same path, and we haven't been. And it's at times been difficult for me to understand, and I know for you to understand, like, why the fuck won't you get to this point?
Right.
And I know you've said it. And you're like, we've fucking been down this road before, you bitch.
I've literally had this conversation with my husband. I'm like, I don't understand why she doesn't see this yet. He's like, she'll get there when she gets there. She'll get there. It's okay. I'm like,
I mean, you know, and we all know I have a huge heart, right? And I used to give people more chances than they deserved. I kept people past the expiration dates, thinking that if I put them in the freezer, you know,
they'll last
it
longer.
will extend their expiration date. Or, okay, well, you know, it doesn't smell or look funky, so I'm going to still keep them around and try to see what I can do past the expiration date. When I really need to toss that shit out as soon as the expiration date hits. Like, I see your expiration date coming up, boo. I need to put you on the lower shelf. You stop getting as much attention as the fresh shit, and then you got to go.
Out with the next
And that's what I really had to realize. You can't let that shit linger, because that shit's gonna rot. It's going to cause negativity. It's going to force you to address it. And the more it smells, the more you don't want to go near it. Right?
It's true.
Let's be honest. You're like, I don't want to pick it up, because what if it starts leaking and the buggies and shit? So you avoid it.
Nasty.
I'm being graphic and nasty as I can, so y'all understand how much toxicity these people have. But not everyone's going to get there at the same time, right? That's what I learned. And I know I had to have that understanding, because I wasn't understanding why other people around me weren't moving the way I was moving, or why they were moving faster.
Right.
Or, you know, when my marriage was ending, like, why was I over here and you were over here in La La Land?
Right.
You know, like, where was the disconnect when it was very clear as to what was going on? And I mean, going back to her, it was the same thing. It's like, she's never gonna understand it, and there comes a point where you say, okay, I'm moving on for me. Whenever you catch up, you catch up.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. But I feel like a lot of people think that moving on means you all have to move on together. But again, everyone moves at their own pace, right?
You got to do what's best for you and for your mental health. You just have to. And I know that my mental health is a lot better. Now, I'm not saying she was the cause of all my mental health problems. That is not true. I mean, she was definitely a contributing factor. Let's not lie. But she, like, I mean, I still have residual effects that I deal with now. But I, so much better. Like, night and day.
You had your fresh start, right? And it's not to say that, you know, a lot of people have this fear of, well, I never want to fully shut someone out, because there's that notion of everyone deserves chances. We're all human. We all make mistakes.
True.
No one is perfect.
Absolutely not.
And there's that notion that if you move on from a situation or from a person, that there's no going back. And that's not true. There's no going back to what was.
Right.
Let's look at it that way, right? There's no going back to what was. But if the situation that you moved away from evolves and changes and reaches out a hand, and you're willing and able to accept the hand, it's okay.
Absolutely.
And it's not saying that you're accepting everything that they did,
Nope.
but you're accepting their hand with boundaries now.
Yes. Very, very important.
Right?
And make them very well known and very clear. Like,
And stick to them.
yes, please.
Stick to the damn boundaries. I always had a problem with that. I was kicking myself in the ass. I bet you did so well setting up these boundaries, and then you just made excuses for people
Yep.
to step over the boundaries. No. Boundaries are there for you, not for the other person. If the other person doesn't understand them and they're upset by your boundaries, then they don't respect you or love you. Period.
Yep.
Because if you truly love and respect someone, you're going to accept their boundaries no matter what they are, and you're not going to take them personally.
Yep.
Period. The other thing I think people have a hard time moving on from is like possessions.
Things.
I know.
Yep.
I had a very hard time moving on from possessions, and I would hold on to things. Now, y'all don't come looking at me like I'm a damn hoarder. I ain't no hoarder. But there were certain things that were memories to me, right? Or comfort that I would hold on to because I'm like, I might need it someday. Or this once meant something to me.
Right.
And I don't want to let go of that memory. But that's a physical piece. It doesn't mean I let go of the memory up here. But maybe I need to put that in a stash behind, and I can unlock that memory at a later point. But why is this piece sitting here reminding me of something that no longer serves me?
Yep.
Right? So you also got to move on from physical shit. So baby, when I was moving back from Florida, you know what I did? You know what I did.
I know what you did.
We talked about it. I went to the store, bought me some construction trash bags, and I had a tendency of putting things in closets, and forgetting about them.
From a very young age.
And that didn't fuck up. Do it in a more organized way now, okay?
Good.
Have you know? I can't stand you. And so, I had a habit of taking memories and stuffing them to the back. No matter what it is. And then I would forget that I had these things, or just any possessions at all. And I would rebuy because I'm like, oh, I need them. But they're stuffed in the back of the closet, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
I just started accumulating too many things. So when I was moving back from Florida, my thing was, if it doesn't fit in my car, it ain't coming. Not only did I want to start fresh, I didn't want any of the physical memories of that relationship, of that house,
Yeah.
of that dark place I was once in, of that no longer served me, right? Of anything that was shared. I wanted my own. I wanted fresh.
Yep.
I wanted positivity. I wanted peace. I also didn't want to pay for no damn truck
It's so expensive.
because it costs more to pay for the truck to bring my shit up here with movers than to just rebuy everything brand new. I kid you not. I kid you not.
Yep. So expensive.
No, it was some bullshit.
It's like a down
The
payment.
quotes-
Like, what the fuck?
I got a quote. $15,000. You said what? Ma'am, what'd you say? No, thank you.
No, it's
No,
insane.
thank you. No, thank you. I will fit whatever I can in my car. And I fit.
You did. You packed and Tetris the hell out of that thing. I was impressed.
There was honestly a point at the end where I was like, wow, I got all that in there. And there were little crevices and we're talking about like little holes. And I was just stuffing. I was like, gotta make sure this don't move. Slide that in. Ooh, ooh. It was it was fun. Um, it was a challenge that I accepted for my fresh start, right? Um, because I wanted Sky to still have some of her things.
Yep.
And, there were things like clothes and, personal items and stuff that um, could fit in the car that I didn't need to rebuy. It wasn't beds and dressers and
Yeah.
bedding and all that. Like, all of that was brand new. Um, but just those personal items, right? My palm tree from Tasha, I had to get shoved in the car. I was taking a palm tree from Florida, okay? But it was a challenge and it felt great, but it was also stressful and scary as fuck to pack everything, all of your possessions into one car.
Yeah.
And know that that's all you were going to have until the rest of your shit got delivered. And to know that you were starting over was freeing and scary as fuck.
I bet.
But after the car left, I felt great.
Cool.
And I was like, whew. Oh, this is what this feels like. So when I got up here, I was like, oh, this is fresh air. This never mind the allergies. Thank you, State Park. Never mind. But fresh air, energy-wise, and a true fresh start of now I'm in my element. Now I'm home. Now I can truly settle from this past 2 years that I went through and the growing and learning and healing of myself that I had to do along the way. And then that final icing on the cake was to be free and be here where I belong. But I'm telling you what, girl, I took them trash bags and I went into them closets and I just wasn't even looking. If I haven't looked in there and haven't looked for those things, I don't need them. And it came to a point where I was like, it's not worth my mental health.
Yeah.
Okay? It is not worth my mental health to sit here and go through every single little item. I know damn well I haven't looked for it. Fuck it.
Right.
If it turns out when I get home and I am like, yo, where is such and such? I'll buy it.
Yep.
That's where I was at. Mentally, I was like, I am done. I am ready. Let's go. And I'm just tossing everything in. There was one point where I paused and I was like, what's in this bag? Oh, my wedding dress. Oh, man, keep going. And I didn't even think about it until I put all the trash out and I was like, hey, bitch, you did not even think twice. It wasn't like a lot of moms are like, oh, well, I want my daughter to have my wedding dress. No, I don't want you to have my wedding dress. I want you to have your own. I want you to have your own memories. I don't want you to have any negativity I associate with that piece of clothing. Beautiful dress, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But it was a heavy baggage for many reasons, right? So I had to let it go.
Yep.
I had to move on completely from that. And I knew damn well I didn't want any of that in my life.
Yeah, no. Totally get it.
Have you ever had to move on from a friendship?
From a friendship?
Yeah.
I know I've let friendships dwindle. There was the one thing with Riss that was really the only thing that I and did anything for a while. But I mean, like I've let friendships die out, but I've never actually like gone to someone and been like, yeah, this isn't working for me.
I find that that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
Yeah.
And I want to understand like how different people cope with it. And that's why I was asking, because I've seen people from very straightforward, hey, this shit ain't working out.
Yeah.
Period. We need to go our separate ways. To people who are narcissists and blame the other person completely, and make up this whole scenario in their head as to why
What happened?
they're in a fight, and place the blame completely on the victim in the situation, and never talk to them again. And then there's the other one where it's just ghost.
Yeah, I don't completely ghost.
I have.
But I suck at relationships, especially friendships, and it's something that I know I suck at, and I have been trying to get better at it. I feel like I've made a lot of strides in the past couple of years, even adding in new friends, which is not something that I do. But I don't ghost necessarily, but I definitely but I'm always very low contact. Like I'm not a reach out kind of person. Constant, you know what I mean? I try to be better because I know that I suck at that, but I'm not good at it. So I feel like people kind of expect me not to really reach out and respond to them, and then when I'm just not doing it, it's just like none of us do it. You know what I mean? Like I have like one relationship where I thought we were pretty good friends. Things change. We don't really see each other anymore, and neither of us have really contacted each other. You know, like I made a couple of attempts, and then I was just kind of like, all right, well, I'll just. I don't know what to do now.
I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah, like it's like always that awkward thing of like, and I'm an awkward person, and I'm non-confrontational. Like I don't like to get into arguments or confront people about things, so I try to avoid it.
You know what's funny is everyone thinks that I am. Some people call me a bully at times, and say I'm intimidating. And everyone thinks that I love confrontation. And I don't.
I despise it. Literally, like, I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it.
What I explain to people is I will engage in confrontation when I'm defending those I love. When it comes to me, I have a very hard time. Well, I used to have a very hard time setting those boundaries. And I saw myself ghosting a lot of people because I knew I would feel guilty, because I always was the fixer, right? And I know you have told me, Jeray has told me, you can't fix everyone else. Like, it's not your fucking job.
Nope.
Cut the shit out. But I was always
Worry about yourself.
What about yourself? You what about yourself? I was always that person that everyone could rely on, but I could never rely on anyone. And it got to the point where I wouldn't allow myself to rely on anyone because I felt like no one could help me, that I was always helping everyone else. And then I didn't know what I needed help with.
Yeah.
Right? So I found myself ghosting people. And for me, that was, okay, we're moving on. But you're really not. You're just kind of sticking it there and ignoring it. Right? And then sometimes those people may not even understand why you're completely ghosting them.
Right.
And then there's no resolution, and then there's hurt feelings, and then there's just a lot of drama that can come out of it. And I've learned that now, as I've matured a little bit. I still didn't reach out to the people that I ghosted because I just left them dead where they were, you know. But I've realized that that's not the proper resolve for a situation, and that you need to be very direct, because if you ghost someone, they're gonna keep popping up. They're not gonna know, okay, she's done for what reason? Like, why is she talking to me? Like, randomly think of you and hit you up, you know? So you really got to dead those situations if you truly want to move on and continue on with a fresh start. And like I said, that doesn't mean closing the door, right?
Right.
Like that doesn't have to be
Well, you can
that.
close it, but it can open again later. Like right now,
Doorbell.
you get a doorbell, exactly, and or a knocker or something. Like, you know, if you want it, if you don't want it too loud.
Don't
But
disturb my peace,
you
bitch.
can close the door. You can move on, have your start, do what you need to do for yourself, and then if they come a knocking and you feel like opening it, then go for it. If not, keep it closed. Keep the bitch closed.
Yeah.
Or if you want to keep it propped open, if that makes you feel more comfortable, fine. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable. You don't have to fit a mold. You don't have to do exactly what we tell you. You don't have to, this is just what worked for us or didn't work for us or whatever. But,
What hasn't, what has,
yeah.
what somewhat did.
I mean, life is constantly changing and constantly
Right.
moving, and there's all these factors that are constantly filtering in. Like everything, every situation is different. Everything is different. Every person's different. How you're going to handle it's
Yeah.
different. Just do what's right and feels right for you. If the relationship or the job or whatever the thing isn't working, is causing you mental stress, do what you
Yeah.
got to do.
I definitely realized my problems with moving on were because of childhood trauma, because I felt like we never had anything solid or anything with longevity. So I would hold on to everything, like you
Everything.
said, past expiration
Yeah.
dates, and it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter how abusive the person was, and I was in a lot of abusive situations and a lot of dangerous situations, and I continued to hold on because in my mind it could always be worse, and in my mind I had worse, and this wasn't as bad
Right.
as the trauma I had before, so I could handle it. And that sounds horrible as fuck.
Yeah.
And it is. It absolutely is. Now that I'm in my adult stage of life, looking back on the 20-year-old me and the early 20s that I was in and the situations I was in and all the shit that I held on to and all the situations I got put into because of that. A lot of it could have been avoided if I would have had the proper tools and understanding of what moving on meant and being able to let go of things that did not serve you or do you right. And now that I'm at that journey in life where I'm like, protect your fucking peace and your mental health matters more than anyone.
At all costs. It is the
I,
most important
right.
thing.
I used to be that person to help everyone. And now I'm the help myself and then help those that I truly love if they need me. And like, I used to always want to fix everyone. If someone would have a problem, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm here to listen. I'd be like, okay, well, we need to do this, and this, and this, and this is how we're going to fix it. And I would have the whole game plan and do it for them,
Can't do that.
and right,
Can't do
right. It's so draining for me,
that.
the fixer, you know, but I found that with me fixing everyone else, I didn't have to look at myself. I didn't have to address
What
and
was
fix
going on?
me.
Yep. Facts.
I could escape my issues by helping them, and that made me feel good. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. Helping others makes me feel amazing. But when it was done, I was left with my own emptiness and my own darkness. And now I'm waiting for the next person to fix. No, bitch, fix you. And I had to turn it back on myself and fix myself. I had to find my own peace. I had to move on
Yep.
from who I was. I think that's like the hardest part of moving on from the old version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see her back there. Like, what up, bitch? Stay over there. I'll pull you out when I need you
Yeah.
for certain things. But stay over there
Yep.
in your lane, in your place where I left you. You're not needed here right now because there's so much peace in my bubble. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm surrounded by such amazing people who remind me of how amazing I am and are a direct reflection pond of the love and energy that I give, that it's so fulfilling that I never want to go back to who I was. I want to continue to grow and be the person who I always saw I was,
Mm-hmm.
but wasn't living up to, if that makes sense.
Makes complete sense to me.
Right? Right? So, with that, I also had to understand that other people grow. And like we talked about before, me and Riss had that falling out, and we both needed to grow, and we were in this friendship and sistership, and that is my sister. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter how much time had passed. Um, we kept a lot of dirty secrets. And that just goes to show you that, regardless of the situation, and regardless of the misunderstandings, and regardless of the whatever was going on, there was a deeper rooted love and respect for each other that we would have took that shit to the grave, and we said that shit
100%.
before. But it also was okay, we were moving along in that healing and growing phase at the same time, at different paces, because when she was ready to reach out, I wasn't ready to receive her hand. And I slapped it down a couple of times. Um, and, at one point it was because I was being petty. And another point, I was going through a lot of things in life where I couldn't reach out because I didn't know what that reaching out entailed. And I knew it would have to mean facing the
Yeah.
situation and having that difficult conversation of, okay, are we here now? Can we move on?
Right.
And I could not take that on at that time. Um, but then time kept going, and then we aligned in that, okay, we're both ready. And it was awkward as fuck. It was so awkward. But you need those awkward moments to be able to move forward at times too.
It's true.
And I honestly, I feel like people, I know I used to avoid awkward moments and awkward conversations. And, when somebody would be like, we need to talk, or, hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. Even now, had a conversation yesterday where that happened. He's like, yeah, I want to talk to you about text message. And I'm like, fuck, what did I write? What did I do wrong? Automatically, my dad just, nah, I didn't do anything wrong. All right, what is it? Okay, cool. And just was able to like re-ground myself quickly. Whereas before I would have been like, oh my God, what did I do? I'm so sorry. Immediately. And I was just like, all right, cool. What are you talking about? Because now I have the understanding of like, all right, I might have said something. I still have plenty of growing to do. We all continue to grow. Like, and when you're learning about other people in your circle, like everyone moves and grooves in different ways. So you have to have that understanding. Um, and that's really what it was. It wasn't, oh, bitch, you fucked up. But had that have been the old Nelly,
Yeah.
I probably would have started crying. Like, oh my God, what did I say wrong? What did I do? I'm so sorry. Like, before this person even got anything out their mouth, like, as soon as you were like, we need to talk, I'm just like, oh my God, I fucked up. I would take the blame no matter what it was. And it could just be like, yo, you said the blue looked good, it didn't look good. The most simplest shit. But like I would internalize and take the blame for everything growing up. And that was part of the people pleaser, Nelly.
Yep.
Um, that bitch is over there.
Good.
She liked pleasing people in different ways
That's
now
fine.
versus then.
Yeah.
It's a different,
It's healthier
healthier
now. Yes.
version.
Yes.
You know, um, so I mean, I'm definitely a firm believer that you need to move on from older versions of yourself as well as people that have expired, jobs. Don't get so comfortable like your bitch did, and stay at a job for 14 years that is not fulfilling you spiritually, mentally, financially, just because you are comfortable with the level of toxicity and you continue to bear the stress and anxiety because you know what it is and you're afraid of what is out there, right? And for me, it was also well, this has been in my life for so long.
Right.
And again, I had to remind myself, like, bitch, it is okay to let go of things that have been in your life for a long time that don't serve you because you're basing that off of your childhood trauma, which is no longer needed here. Okay. Put that shit back with the old Nelly. And I had to push myself. And I did it. And
You did.
I'm so happy I did it. But it's never easy, right? So I know there's like a lot of people out there, and I talked to a friend a while ago who was having a really difficult time moving on from a relationship. And I was like, well, what's the biggest fear? Like, you really gotta ask yourself, like, what is your biggest fear? And what is your biggest come up of letting it go? Like, it really, I mean, it'd be like that sometimes. We really got to do that. The
Yep.
pros and cons.
The pros and
list.
cons. Yep. Absolutely. Break that shit out. Break that shit out. Write it all the fuck down.
Honestly, because you can sit there and you can rattle stuff off in your head.
But when you see it black and white on that paper, like,
there's no mistaking it. There's no, well, maybe I just wasn't. No, write it out. Take time. Go back to it. Keep adding to it.
yeah,
Keep looking at it.
give it a couple weeks even. Add to it as you think about it, and then go back to it a week after that and take a look at it. Which side's bigger?
Right.
If the con side is bigger, you've got some serious consideration here to do, because that's not good.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
Time to move on. And, really put down, what does moving on mean? Right? And do the pros and cons of that. Do the pros and cons of the situation, whether it be friendship, family, job, anything that you feel like you may need to move on from. Pros and cons of that situation. What are the pros of keeping it? What are the cons of keeping it? And also the pros and cons of letting it go. Because it's two very different things. Right? And some of the answers a lot of the answers are going to be the same, but you have to break it down, because there might be things that you then start thinking of, like, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, letting it go is this a different set of pros and cons, right? But then also, like, what does it mean? What does it mean for when that's gone? What are the pros and cons of it being gone? Are there cons?
I mean, other than I'll miss them. That doesn't count. You're going to miss anything that you're going to get rid of because you have attachment to it. That's just the way we work.
Right. That's human nature. We have attachments to things. Right?
Yep.
This person said to me that they didn't want to be alone. And I had to be real and interject and say, I'm speaking from a personal standpoint, but if it so resonates with you, take it. Would you rather be alone, at peace, in a fresh, peaceful, seemingly sense of an area? Or would you rather be alone in a toxic situation? Because let's face it,
You're going to be alone no matter what. Yeah.
Where you're alone.
Yeah.
I had felt my loneliest next to a person. And that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told, nah, bitch, I don't be alone. I ain't meant to be alone. I got too much love to give. I love cuddles. Fuck all that shit. Don't want to be alone. But you may need to be alone for a little while.
Right.
You need to be alone to find yourself, to find your worth, to find what you can and cannot accept, to heal yourself, because that's the biggest fucking thing. You need to heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring that baggage and drama.
Don't jump right into another one. Yeah. No.
It is not gonna last. But you need that alone time. Now, it's not to say that you love. Don't go out there and be like, I love being alone. No, bitch, you lying. Cut the shit.
I love being alone.
Stephanie, we had this conversation.
I know
earlier,
we did. I know. I like being alone 85% of the time.
Bitch, you also got 2 crazy ass kids and 1 crazy ass husband who don't shut up. You like your alone time.
Yes, it's true.
But you don't like to feel alone.
Correct.
You know damn well that you're not alone. So you like your alone time. You like your space. And there's a big difference.
That's true.
Because, you know, I've had this conversation where I said, like, I want to miss somebody. I want to miss you. I don't always want to be up under you. Great. It's a great thing sometimes. But I want to also be able to miss you, right? Because that brings you closer. That makes the bond stronger. Like, you're constant pulling and stretch and the moving of that motion ocean. Like, you need your alone time, but you're not alone. You have your mental space, and you have your alone time and your self health and rejuvenation time. But you know that person's waiting for you. You know.
Yeah.
You know, as annoying as your husband is, that he's gonna be there for you.
It's true.
You know? So, no, bitch, you don't like to be alone. You like your alone time.
Fine. I like my alone time.
But there are people out there who are like, I don't ever want to be with anyone. I'm content with being alone. No, you're just saying that because you're lonely. And you're making an excuse for that. Because as humans,
I don't know.
we're not.
For the most part, we are. I know we are, but people are used to it by now. For the most part, we are pack animals, and I believe that we like to be with other people. But there are exceptions to that rule, and I think that there are some people who truly would prefer not to be around anyone. They do exist.
One of my biggest fears was dying alone. I didn't want to die alone. I wanted to share my life and my love with someone to the end. You know? I got way too much love to give now, damn it. But I want too much love back. Shit. But I always said, like, I want my person. And that's where it goes to finding that person that you don't feel alone with, because there are going to be people in your life come and go, who you keep longer than need be, that are not your person, and you're holding on to them because you don't want to be alone. But 9 times out of 10, you are alone,
right,
in a relationship.
Yeah, that's not good. And
that goes for family and friendships too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, So you really got to come to that realization. I mean, I know I did. It was a slap in the face. I was like, why do I feel so alone and so unheard? Because, bitch, you are. And that's not your person. You know, that expiration date has passed and it's time to let it go. So, uh, I think it's a big thing. I think it's a big thing for people to grasp that and grasp the, well, when is it time to move on? You're going to know. You're going to know because you're going to start making excuses. You're going to start maybe not speaking to that person as much or setting limitations, or your expectations of what once was are going to be remarkably lower because of the letdown.
Yep.
You know, when it going back to our mother, I've known for a while that I need to move on from that and I need to let it go. And I mean, like I said, I'm not fully closing the door, but I can't allow her access into my peace to disrupt it the way she did. Like, you didn't reach out for her birthday and then you didn't reach out for my birthday. And I know it was the pettiness because of her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the midst of me moving, which she knew nothing about. But because, God forbid, someone doesn't reach out to her immediately, it's a tit for tat. And as a mother and a grandmother to a miracle child, I don't feel like you should have that level of pettiness when you say you're as evolved.
Right.
And I can't allow that into my peace bubble. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And I'm not saying she's a horrible person. She just doesn't fit in my bubble. You know? In my bubble, I envision tiny little bubbles with nice rounded sides. And they all slide together and coincide fluidly. And she's got sharp edges. And that's popping bubbles in my bubble. And I don't like it.
Yep.
I can't have sharp edges in my bubble.
That's a pretty good analogy.
You like?
I like it.
Yes. I'm smart. I'm a flipping genius. Y'all can use my analogy if you like. I just envisioned it in my little brain and it just came out, and I could picture the little colorful bubbles rolling. It was beautiful. Beautiful. I hope you guys saw it as beautiful as I did. Yeah. Y'all know I'm crazy. It's fine.
It's fine.
Fine.
It's fine.
That's just me. Welcome to the Nelly Show. But yeah, I would hope, and you know, you can only give your advice to people about moving on and what that looks like and what it feels like. And I'll be 100% realistic. It ain't easy. It gets easier as time goes on and as you set those boundaries and as you know what it truly feels like to cut those things out that no longer serve you,
Yeah.
that no longer benefit you, that no longer bring positivity and light into your life. It gets easier. It really does get so much easier, and you're able to say, you know what?
That was a good choice.
Gotta go.
Yeah. Right decision.
And 9 times out of 10, that person will confirm that you made the right choice.
Yep.
That happened to me recently with a friendship that I had cut off, that we won't dive into because we're running into time. But yeah, I made the choice to end a 20-plus year friendship over something very serious. That did a lot of damage to me. And I decided to protect my peace and take my space back. And this person decided to delete me from all of social media, and that was fine. because social media does not, I used to think social media was like, oh my God, you don't have me on there, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
You don't like
You're dead
fuck
to me
you.
now. You don't
You
exist
don't
on
mean
Facebook?
shit. It's not real life, people. Just because I delete you off of social media, it just means that you don't have access into every aspect of my life. But if you need to reach me, you know how to reach me. So I wasn't pissed that he deleted me off of all the stuff apparently I was supposed to be. Um, and some of the feedback that I got from a mutual friend of ours that called me, telling me the things that he was bitching about, really upset me. And the thing that really pissed me off is Sky tried to call him, and he didn't answer. And I texted him and told him, like, your niece is trying to call you, and if she tries to ask for you again, I'll try to call you back. No response. Um, Fast forward to a year and a half later, his father passed away, and I was close with his father. I had a lot of conversations with Dad on the side that he did not know about. And Dad would reach out and check on me and the baby and whatnot. Um, so when he passed, I felt bad. Um, so I reached out of respect. Um, and he reconfirmed that I made the right choice in my peace journey to move on from the friendship of, clearly it wasn't the type of friendship I thought it was, because um, he did not give me funeral information, but then sent it to my ex. Guess they're best friends. And they were the reason why we were no longer friends. Big old dramatic situation, but that's fine. But like, I reached out and he responded, and that would have been a moment where you would have said, here's the information. But pettiness continued to take over, and your ego apparently continued to take over, and it just so happens I was not around on that day anyway. But I said my piece to Dad, blessings, spirituals, all that sense. So I'm good. I'm happy with it. I'm content with it. And also with moving on, you have to understand other people's moving on, right? Not take it 100% personal, because they may be moving on because it just doesn't fit them anymore. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're any less valuable to other people. It just means that you're no longer a fit for them. And we have to then look at ourselves and understand, like, all right, I got some expiration dates for people too. Like, not just everyone's going to have expiration dates for yourself, but I got expiration dates, and I may no longer fit into people's growth and into their lives, and that don't negatively reflect on me. Unless I was a bitch and did something negative, then yes, absolutely. Rough edges over here, and they're circle little bubbles. So that's different. But really start to understand that as well, because there are going to be people who move on from you, whether they ghost you or they tell you straight up, or however they may go about it. But take that lesson and just say, oh, all right, what we had was what we had, and my expiration date with you came up. I wish you well on your journey, and you keep going. I think that was hard for me at first to understand. I was like, how could you? Me?
I never expire, bitch.
A lifetime guarantee in this bitch. Okay? I'm on the top shelf. Kit. Laminated in gold.
No, you have to listen to your brain. It's gonna tell you. It's gonna be like, hey, this, we're freaking out over here. Why are we freaking out? Listen to me.
Sometimes I just tell that bitch, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up right now.
I try to tell her shut up all the time.
Yeah, sometimes she don't make no sense. But yeah.
And she always wants to talk at the most inconvenient times. Like, bitch, I'm tired. Can't you do this like mid-afternoon, not 12 o'clock at night?
after I slept and had my coffee, please.
Seriously.
That fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Hey, self. Shut the fuck up. I need to move on from you right now.
Seriously.
Until La La Land. But yeah. So, yeah, I think as scary as moving on and fresh starts can be, they're so amazing. And we all need them in all different areas of our lives. Because truly life is just about growing and glowing up, right? Like, and if we're not moving on from things, they're going to hold us behind and they're going to drag us down. And it's just not going to be a great situation.
Mm-mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
So, with that said, we are moving on from this motherfucking topic. But honestly, it's not a cookie cutter of how you choose to move on, how you choose to address the situations, how long you choose to hold on to things. But just know things are so much better on the other side. Things are so much more peaceful. Rainbows, unicorn, glitter farts, and all that shit. But once you start letting go of all the negative, you have so much more room for the positive. You have so much more room to accept love that you've never seen and understood before. And it's an amazing feeling. And I really wish that for a lot of people. And that's why I've been pushing this body positivity. And I need to get with La because she wants to get this circle going. So it's definitely something that I want for other people, because after sitting in my shit for so long, I see how amazing it is on the other side. You know?
Absolutely.
So, with that said, my loves, until next time, be kind to yourself and others. Love on yourself. I'm just gonna start saying love on yourself because I feel like that's most important right now.
Facts.
So love on yourself. If you want to love on other people, that's fine too, but focus on you. And until next time, just remember it's all a bunch of BS.
Bye.
You little bee. Are you getting hot?
I am.
You having a hot flash?
I am.
You getting clammy, bitch. Yeah,
the last minute and a half there, I was really starting to feel it, and I was like, "Oh, just hold on."
I saw it in your face, and it looked like you was getting nauseous.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, she getting clammy. Let's move on." You feel my breeze?
Oh man. Thanks.
You feel it?
I feel it.